So I am going to do just one of each type of question on this sheet to remind you of the things that we've done so far. Okay, so the first section, it's mostly factorising the whole sheet. There is a little bit of expanding. The first one is on factorising, and you can see that there are 4 terms. Charlotte, Xanthi. All right, so if there's 4 terms, that means that we want to factorise in pairs, which means usually we take the first 2 and we try to find a common factor. So for those first 2 terms, I can take out a 7 and an x squared. Then I open my bracket and I write down the leftovers. 7x cubed divided by 7x squared. The 7's taken out, and I've taken the x squared out, but there'll be one little x left in the bracket. Then for the 14x squared, 14 divided by 7 is 2, and I've taken the x squared out, so I don't need that anymore. Then we look at the 3rd and 4th term. There's no common factor that I can take out of those, but fortunately, it is the same as what's already in the bracket that I have there. So what I'm going to write down is plus, and I'm going to put it in brackets, x plus 2, because that's going to be my common factor for my next step. So that bracket, the x plus 2, is my common factor that comes out to the front. Then in the second bracket, the parts out the front of the brackets will go inside the second bracket. So the 7x squared, and in front of the second one, this would be a plus 1. So we put a 1 over here. Actually, I probably better do a second one of these because the question 2, there's a little bit of an extra catch to it. Have a go. You're welcome to do this with me if you remember how to do it. See if you can do question 2, but I'll show you the extra step at the end. In question 2, let's take the first 2 terms again. I can factorise out 6 and a k squared. 18 divided by 6 is 3, and I would have 1 extra k there. 48 divided by 6 is 8, no more k's. The 3rd and the 4th term, there's no common factor, but I need to bring a minus sign out to get my signs correct. So that would become a positive 3k and a negative 8. Now my brackets are the same. Okay, so let's take that bracket out the front, 3k minus 8, and then 6k squared, take away 1, collects up in the second bracket. Now that is the answer, and the software that I used to generate these questions said that that was the answer. However, there is an extra step you could take. Can anyone see it? No one can see it? No. The k squared minus 1. It's a difference of 2 squares. Not a nice one, but it is possible.
So would we get marked down for not doing that?
If it said to factorise it fully and you didn't, then you could potentially lose a mark. Okay, so let's do the extra step, and on the answers, if you look at my answers later, you'll see it says bonus. Okay, it's a bit of a bonus if you can do this extra step. As soon as you have an x squared or a k squared, whatever, something squared, minus. The minus is the key factor. The reason I couldn't do it with this one, so you've got the x squared, but it's a plus. You can't do a difference of 2 squares when it's a plus. But if you have got a minus, you can do a difference of 2 squares. So let's leave the 3k take away 8, and then the 6k squared take away 1 is going to separate into 2 more brackets. I'm going to square root the first term, which will be square root of 6 out the front of the k. Please don't put the square root sign over the k, it's just over the 6. That will be at the beginning of both brackets. Square root of 1 is 1, and then one bracket will be a plus in between, and the other bracket will be a minus. Told you, bit of a bonus. I know, but it is more factorised, so it is better. And if we were doing further work with that, for example, extension math, when we're doing polynomials and we need to find zeros, the intercepts of graphs, that is a useful form that we can use. Anyway, continuing. Up to question 8, they will all be very similar there. So our next type is on question 9. And this should be a nice one. It says, take out a common factor. Okay, so 21 minus 14x. Both of those terms we can bring out as 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. And 14 divided by 7 is a 2 and an x. Okay, so that section should be pretty straightforward. You're just bringing out a common factor. The next heading, factorize each completely. Question 14. You can see that there is 3 terms there, which is now bringing it into our trinomials. Now, we have only learnt the monic trinomials so far. Okay, to factorize a monic trinomial, you're looking for 2 numbers that times to give this one and add to give that one. So 63 is a fairly large number. Can anyone think of 2 numbers that times to give 63 and add to give a 7? 8 and 8 does not make 63.
21 and...
Yes, 9 and 7. So we have 2 brackets. The n will go at the beginning of both brackets. And the 9 and the 7 that Kai worked out, it's a plus 9 and a plus 7 that needs to go inside. Remember that sometimes we need minus signs and things in there as well, so remember to look out for that. And some of you may still need to write your possibilities over here on the side if you're having trouble finding the 2 numbers that work. Ideally, I would like you to get to the stage that you can just go, what 2 numbers times to give that and add to give that, and you can just put them straight into the brackets because speed is important. Okay, so that continues down to question, quite a way. There is, actually, wait. Question 23, for example, even though you can see that there is a 5 in front of that m squared, this can still be factorised by bringing out a common factor of 5 first, and then you can still factorise it as a monic trinomial. 27, here's another one it's not a trinomial, there's only 2 terms in that. So 2a squared minus 200. First thing I hope you notice is that both of those terms can be divided by 2. There's a common factor in that. So if there's a common factor, you should always take that out first. 2, bracket, that would leave a squared and minus 100. And there it is, something squared and a minus sign and another something that can actually be square rooted. So that is a difference of 2 squares again. So I can do an extra step, 2 out the front, and then 2 brackets. Square root of a squared is a. And the square root of 100 is 10. One of them will be a plus, one of them will be a minus. Okay, so more of those, a bit of a mixture in there. Question 8. This says expanding. So there's a few different types of expanding. Maybe I'll do B because A is just too easy. B, you want to expand the brackets out and simplify. So x times 4x is 4x squared. X times 5 is a positive 5x. Then be careful if there is minus signs at the front, that minus 2 has to come through as well. So it's minus 2x times x is minus 2x squared. And minus 2x times 4, minus 2 times 4 is minus 8, and the x. Once you have expanded, you then need to collect up any like terms. So the x squareds, 4x squared, I can even highlight them, 4x squared, take away 2x squared, would become 2x squared, just subtracting the numbers out the front. And also, a positive 5x, take away 8x, makes a negative 3x. Okay? So there's a few different types. You've also got like question C and E here. These are FOIL expansions. Some different type of expanding in there as well. Question 2 is back to factorise. I grabbed these from a few different books, so it goes a bit, it's repeating, which is good practice. When you get to question, what page is this? Page 4, question 3. These ones that I have highlighted, snuck these ones in there. These ones are trinomials that are not monic. We haven't done these yet, so please circle them. If you remember how to do them, you can give them a go, but otherwise just wait until we do those tomorrow. We're doing them tomorrow, so it won't be long. So 3E and 3F we can't do just yet. And question 4C, there's one here that's snuck in. So some of you I know remember how to do it, and we're doing it before you went away, so you may still be able to give them a go. Let's have a look at one of the first ones in question 4 though, because all the factorising that we have learnt means that we can simplify algebraic fractions. I'm going to do B. It's a bit more involved. The first thing you want to do whenever you see these questions is to factorise everything. So looking at the top left-hand one, x squared take away 4. You can see the squared and you can see the minus sign, which means a difference of 2 squares. 2 terms. The 2 terms gives it away as well. So I'm going to need 2 brackets, and I'm going to square root the x squared, which is x and x. I'm going to square root the 4, which is 2 and 2. One's a plus and one's a minus. Then on the bottom, I can see 3 terms here, which means trinomial. It will factorise into 2 brackets like this. The pronumeral I have is x again, and it's an x squared, so it'll be x at the front of both brackets. With a trinomial, to find the numbers that go at the end, we have to think of 2 numbers that times to give 14 and adds to give -9. Think, think, think. -2 and -7, good. They both needed to be negative because 2 negatives will make a positive here, but also we needed a negative sign here, so they both had to be negative. So -2 and -7. Then the times sign. Top of the second fraction, it's a trinomial again, so factorise 2 sets of brackets. It's an x squared, so x at the beginning of both brackets. Let's try it again. What times is to give -7 and adds to give a -6?
Positive 1 and -7.
Yes. Positive 1, -7. On the bottom, only 2 terms, so it's not a trinomial. It's not squared, okay, so there's no quadratic part in there at all. So all I can do for this is take out a common factor. I can bring out the 4, and I will get x plus 2. Once everything is factorised, and only when it's factorised, you can cancel things off from the top and the bottom that are the same. So x plus 2 on the top could cancel with that x plus 2 all the way over there on the bottom. X minus 2 on the top and x minus 2 on the bottom in the same fraction. Doesn't matter, anywhere top, anywhere bottom. X minus 7 on the bottom and an x minus 7 on the top. That's it for cancelling, which is pretty good. So all that is left is an x plus 1 on the top. Because it was the only thing left, I don't need to write the brackets around it, but you can. It's not wrong if you do. And the only thing left on the bottom is a 4. Okay, so 5B is another one that has a non-monic. You can see it here, the 2. And question 6. This is, I put this in here because I want you to try and remember your shortcuts for expanding a perfect square. So when we have x plus y all squared. So a quick little reminder on how to do that for the shortcut. Remember, you can always put the 2 brackets next to each other and do the full FOIL. But if we can do it shorter and faster, that's even better. So the shortcut is Whatever is in the first position in the bracket, you times it by itself. So x times x makes x squared. Then you times the two terms together and double it. So x times y is xy, and double it will be 2xy. Then it is the last position times by itself, so y times y is y squared. And that works for when it's plus here, same process for when it's minus. You do have some in here that are difference of two squares, which means your middle terms will cancel out. So the shortcut for, what is that, a q, is to just do the first with the first. 2f times 2f is 4f squared. Middle terms are going to cancel in our FOIL. Then you do 3g times minus 3g. 3 times minus 3 is minus 9g squared. Okay, shortcuts if you can. Then there's some more fractions there. Look at that fun. Look at that one. Oh, great question. Okay, and then for those of you who just will finish this so super quick because you just remember everything, I put some extra special ones here at the end. I've called them challenge questions because they don't look any harder, but what's different about these ones?
They're challenging.
They are plus signs. Or minus signs, probably. Yep, some minus signs, which means we can't just factorize and cross things out top and bottom. We can only do that if we're multiplying. If you are adding or subtracting fractions, you will need to get a common denominator and then put the fractions together. Do you want me to show you one of those, or do you just want to leave that in case? It's not compulsory that you do those. I just thought I'd put them there as a bit of fun for those of you who finish quickly. Yeah, all right, we'll leave it there.
Sounds so much fun.